Yes, I love you too. Bye. Bye. Welcome back. If you saw my previous video that I just posted all about how to save a relationship or dodge a bullet based on someone's birth chart and numbers, then you will know in this video, I'm not going to focus on the people who have done things so negative in your life to where it has affected you to the point it's almost unforgivable. I am not going to be addressing salvaging relationships or that type of thing with people who have been abusive to you, who have purposely done things to harm you or wish that things don't go well for you. We're not going to discuss the riffraff. So before I get started with my tips, I'm going to remind you that certain situations require different levels of forgiveness. You would not bring a bomb to a spitball fight, meaning you don't want to totally axe someone out of your life if they have just done something minor or it's unintentional, it's an oversight, or maybe they didn't know any better at the time. You want to try to give it, the benefit of the doubt for the most part, especially if they were not a repeat offender. Because if you have any type of relationship or dealings with people, friendships, business partnerships, family members, whoever it is, no matter how great the relationship is, no matter how compatible you are on a birth chart or whatever in your feelings and emotions and life path, there's going to be a hiccup. If you know them long enough, 15, 20 years, it's going to be something sometimes where somebody's going to be offended, somebody's going to feel some type of way, somebody's going to be confused about what the other was trying to say. Things happen and hiccups do occur. The people that we are not talking about today are the following: repeat offenders. If someone has repeatedly abused you, whether it be verbally, physically, emotionally, or any other type of way, then we are not discussing them in this video. We are not discussing how to love them from a distance, because for the most part, whether you choose to or not choose to, most of those people will probably be blocked out of your life, and you definitely know they probably aren't going the same direction that you are going. We are not going to be discussing people that are not apologetic, meaning that they feel like they didn't do anything wrong, even though it's an offense that's very major, whatever you consider to be major. Not sweating the small stuff, but whatever it is, if they're not even sorry, and once again, just like the repeat offender, they continue to do it over and over again, and it is a character issue, then that is a problem. In my belief system, we believe it is easier to change your fate and your destiny than it is your character, because your character follows you throughout lifetimes. We will not be discussing enablers, those that enable abusers, those that keep quiet when they see that someone is abusing you or doing wrong by you, or they're not speaking up for you, they're not believing you, they're not validating what you have told them about an offense that has happened. We are not going to be discussing enablers. But it is entirely up to you which level you want to forgive each individual in your life, because everyone's different. We are not going to be discussing gaslighters, haters, those that are jealous of you, those that don't want to see you happy, those that will be happy to see you fail. We're not discussing those type of people. Now, sweeping all of the so-called negative seeds out the way and not focusing on them or giving them any energy, we have to sometimes check ourselves. There are no perfect people, therefore there are no perfect relationships. So how do we deal with this big mess of a human experience in order to maintain our self-respect, our dignity, and still get to where we're going in life, even though we have this love for these people that have the potential to hurt us in some sort of way? You know that some of these people should only have access to you, whether it's at the family reunion, the class reunion, or things such as that, where it's only a few hours that you have to see them. And perhaps they have some sort of other benefit to your life. Maybe it's a social connection. Maybe they give good advice on other things. Maybe they have their ear to the street. So there's a way that you can compartmentalize those relationships instead of totally throwing a person in the trash because they called you bunny ears when you were in the 6th grade. So now that we have discussed the levels of forgiveness, let's go into tip number 1 in how to artfully love from a distance when you have someone to where you know where they stand and you know how far to go with them. Tip number 1, know yourself and your triggers. What makes you uncomfortable? When they come around you now, after forgiveness has been shared, do you still feel some type of way? Do you still feel tense? Pay attention to your gut instincts when you are around the person or when you talk to the person. Do you feel drained? Do you feel positive? Do you feel empowered? Do you feel disempowered? What is it that you feel when you are in the presence of this person? Know your triggers. Know what makes you feel disrespected, disregarded, discluded, and unappreciated. It is very difficult once you know someone to maintain affectionate love for them, no matter if they're a family member or a friend, if there is a lack of respect. You can almost get away with not loving someone, but when the respect is gone, there's barely any ground to stand on. Be aware of what does make you feel respected and included, regarded, appreciated. Know those things. Journal it. Write it as a list if possible. Who makes you feel like you need sage or crystals or a spiritual bath after you see them? That is definitely not a positive sign. If you feel like, okay, I hugged this person or I was around this person for too long, now I gotta go cleanse myself off because they're so negative, or they have all this heavy energy around them, or their aura is murky, or whatever it is. If it makes you feel like that, then that's probably somebody you should put in the love from a distance category until they can get it together. Note, who gets quiet when you have good news to celebrate? Everyone else is cheering and celebrating. Yay, I'm so happy for you. You did it, babe. You did it. And then you got this one person that's kind of sitting there like, well, if so-and-so and so-and-so, and I remember when, and this and that. If you have somebody around you like that, that is probably someone you want to put in, I'll see you at the family reunion and nothing else. Note, if you have a time period where you have taken a fall of some sort, or something has failed, the business is closed, a relationship didn't work, whatever it is, who seems to be happy and excited to hear the news? Girl, tell me all about it. I heard and this and that. Note who gets happy when things are not going right for you. Who are you glad to see leave when it's time for them to go? Next, I reiterate, who causes you to tense up in your shoulders and in your gut when they walk through the door? Those are the people you may need to give some distance. Number 2, know their signs and numbers in order to understand who you're dealing with. It is very important to at least know. If you can't know like their rising sign and their moon sign because you don't have their birth time, at least know what their Mars is. That will tell you how they handle competition, how they process anger, how they will act if you all have some conflict, what they will do in the heat of the moment. Know their Mercury sign. Are they going to be the type to gossip? Are they going to be the type to spread rumors? Are they going to cause sibling rivalry? Are they going to cause a break in family ties? Know their basic signs. If you know at least their birthday without having the birth time, you can at least know their sun sign, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and some other planets such as Uranus, Saturn, Pluto, Neptune, etc., etc. Not getting too deep in it like that. I would say at least know the sun, the Mercury, Venus, Mars, and also, if it's possible, learn their life path number and their personality number. You can know their personality number by their birthday. So if you know their chart, or at least parts of it, or their numbers, then you can have a little more compassion to be like, okay, I understand why she acts like that. I understand because she had this type of upbringing and this caused her to trigger off like this, and maybe she doesn't know any better like this because this is how she was socialized, or he or she. So give them the benefit of the doubt. It will give you more compassion, more understanding, and it will intensify the quality of any type of relationships that you have in your life. Number 3, give yourself a limited time period to see them. Give yourself a window of time in order to deal with them. Focus on quality of time rather than a quantity of time with the individual, because the more time you spend with them, familiarity breeds contempt. So you don't even want to stick around for it to start getting messy, gossipy. You know, you want to kind of cut it off before you get into your first bickering session with them for the month. Next, don't stay around them long enough to go back into bad habits together. Perhaps it's been a couple of hours, you know, the family has eaten at the reunion or whatever, and now they're like, hey, you want to go smoke some pot with me? Or let's go get a drink, girl. Come on, girl, you don't do that no more, girl, what's wrong with you? You know, your cousin is there, he's like, dude, I know your wife is just, but come on, let's go hang out, let's go to the club real quick like we used to. You acting funny now, man? Your wife got you on hold? You know, that's when you want to leave before it even gets to that point. You don't even want them to thaw out enough to go there if you're not trying to go there with them, because you know they're going to try to pull you back in to certain habits or certain ways, especially if you're in a situation where you're vulnerable and you're trying to do better. Next, come early, show love, leave early. Always be busy. I've got to get up early in the morning, which could be true. I've got something to do. When you have a family or you have an agenda and you wake up with a purpose, you'll be like, well, I have to get up in the morning. I'm sorry. You know, I have to take the children to recital, you know, different things like that. When you have things to do, then you really do have to go. But while you're there, once again, make it quality time. Don't just come, get a plate and leave. Help out, clean up, bring a plate, bring a gift. Talk to people, engage, be authentic. But then when it's time to go, it's time to go. Realize that when you are walking in purpose and destiny, it is like you are constantly on a ship and you are your own personal captain. On your ship, even if you feel like you're a one-man show or a one-woman show, you may have a co-pilot. And that person may be somebody that's a mentor, somebody you talk to online, you know, that guides you, somebody that's like-minded, a kindred person. It could be your spouse, if your spouse means you well. It could be your best friend. But whoever it is, there will be people on your ship that are going the same direction that you're trying to go, and you all have the same purpose for being friends or for being in a relationship with one another. It's like you have a common vision and a common mission statement. Because if you have people on your ship and you feel like you want to go north and they want to go west, and you all are having these different conflicts about where you all are going as a conglomerate together, then that's going to be an issue. Because if this one wants to go this way, this one wants to go that way, that means the ship ain't gonna move. Everybody gotta be like, okay, we're all going north, we're all going east, whatever it is. Everybody needs to be on the same page on your own personal relationship in order for there to be forward movement and progress. So those people that don't belong on your ship anymore, maybe you had to make a stop and it's time for them to get off. Just like when you're riding on an elevator, you know, when you go to different levels, the elevator's gonna stop. It has to let some people off. So people will come on and off your elevator or your ship at all different times. So when you realize that, it won't hurt as much, or you won't take it as personal, because you know that your purpose is to focus and prioritize the people that are on your ship. And purpose has to be the common ground that you stand on in order for things to move forward. So those people that you love that used to ride with you on your ship and your elevator, you know, you had to let them off way back in the day. You can get off the ship every now and then, because ships make stops at islands, right? So whenever you get to the pit stop, family reunions, class reunions, you know, going to lunch with them every now and then you get off the ship and you spend quality time with them. Even though they're not going where you're going, even though they're not on your ship anymore, or they don't fit in the framework of your life, it's okay to spend time with them and still show love to them, you know, not forgetting where you come from. Like, okay, I'm too good to talk to you now, or, you know, they feel like they're too good to talk to you. And if they need something, then you got their back, they have your back. See them at the dock and port of life. Once you get off your ship for a little pit stop, for a quick visit, get back on your ship and go in the direction you were meant to go. Do not let them take you off course in any type of way. When you go out to intermingle your energies with people, make sure that you are spiritually shielded, grounded, and protected. You know how some people say put on the whole armor? That means gird yourself, guard your heart, guard your tongue. Do your best to speak with diplomacy so that there's very little room for misunderstanding. Put your powdered eggshell on the back of your neck. Wear a crystal if you want to. Burn some sage afterwards. Take a salt bath. Wear white. Whatever it is, shield yourself if you feel like you're going in, you know, a situation where it's a room full of people and some of them are going to be kind of salty, some of them are going to be kind of sweet. When those energies are mixing like that, make sure that you're grounded so that no matter what, you can control your emotions. You can control, you know, going off on somebody if they're disrespectful, and you can remain on your own personal throne and not have to come down off of it to check somebody if you have to. Number 4, categorize where they stand in your life. There is a time and a place for everything, so be careful not to mix certain things. Some friends do not go together. You may have your work buddies, and then you have your buddies who you knew from back in the day. You may have your spirituality buddies, and then you have people that like to do crafting with you. It's not always good to mix those, not unless it's a special occasion or a celebration to where everyone comes together. But when it comes to intimate settings, it's not always good to try to force this group of your friends on the other group of your friends or family. It doesn't always mix. Even sometimes with your mate or your loved one, it's not always good to force your family to try to like the person, or to try to force your mate to like your family. Sometimes it just isn't so at that time period. They may grow to like them later or have some sort of understanding. Just be patient with it. So some people, you just have to tell yourself, okay, yeah, we can go to the football game together, but that's as far as it goes. We can go, to the luncheon together. We can go crafting together. We can go shopping together. And then, okay, but I know not to bring them home, because I know she's going to be kind of flirty with so-and-so and so-and-so. I know he's going to be trying to talk loud and be disrespectful and call women B, so I know I can't bring him to the house. But, I can still go to the game with him. We're still cool. We have that in common. Or you can have someone and you're like, okay, we do great business together, but I'm not going to bring them into my spirituality. When I go to spiritual events or I talk about certain things, I'm not going to confide in them about that. But yes, we can continue to do business. So it's all about knowing how to properly categorize people. And in dealing with certain people and categorizing where they stand in your life, remember, deal with them as they are, not how you hope they will be, or not how you hope they will change, or not how you try to shape them and mold them, trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. Deal with them as is, or not at all. Because it's going to put a strain on the relationship for you to try to force them to see things how you see them, or do things the way you do them. Number 5, never see them when you're running on empty or feeling vulnerable. When you know you're going to see them, already have a purpose in mind. What do I want to learn from this person today? Something that you can put in your journal. What did I learn from them today? Did they give me some new information about something I didn't know about? Did they give me some advice that I can use in a diverse situation? What is it that you will learn from them today? That way you're looking and you're expecting something positive, instead of looking for, oh Lord, what they gonna say today, or how they gonna act today, what kind of mess they gonna start today. Start looking at the positive that you're gonna find from them. So when you get home, you can ask yourself, what did I learn today? How far have I come? What areas do I need to still grow, and what still needs healing? Because sometimes you need to see them to gauge, like, am I really over what she said, or am I really over what he did? So sometimes, when you see those certain family members or friends, you'll know how far that you've come and how far you've matured by how you handle things each time you see them. Once again, expect the good and not the bad. Even if the bad pops up, still take something positive out of it. Well, I know that so-and-so and so-and-so. Find something positive about it, even if they do something negative, if you have no choice but to see them, especially if they're cousins and siblings. Next, focus on what you do have in common with them rather than what you don't have in common with them any longer. Focus on what you do love or like about them rather than the things that annoy you. Not saying you should ignore the things you don't like, but sometimes if it's small enough and they're not in that category to where they shouldn't be in your life because they're too toxic, then you can say, okay, well, I don't like this about them. I'm going to once again focus on something positive and learning something positive from this person. Next, ask the ancestors to intervene before you meet up. If it's like not a surprise impromptu meeting, ask your ancestors to shield you and to guide you and set the atmosphere so that it's positive and everyone learns from one another, so that there be peace in your meeting. Just ask yourself, how can I create some good memories this time with this person? Because you don't want to have a whole stream of bad memories going on. You want to go in purposely trying to create good memories. Maybe you bring a board game over. Maybe you put some pleasant music on that brings back nostalgic memories. Whatever it is, doing something fun together to where everybody's cooperating and getting along, taking pictures with one another, then it kind of sets the atmosphere to be positive, to where people kind of behave themselves as much as possible. Next, if you can't donate it, don't loan it. Meaning, don't give your last Don't give expecting to get something in return. Don't give expecting that they would do the same thing for you. If you are expecting something in return, don't even bother. Just let them know, I'm sorry, I don't have it at this time. I had something else go out. I can't do this. I can't do that. Because it causes resentment and it causes messy energy between the two of you, which can make things worse, to where they can almost go in a category to where you have to cut them off totally. Because getting entangled in messy situations to where you feel obligated to someone or they feel obligated to you because someone did the other a favor, it can cause a lot of resentment and negative energy. So just avoid it altogether. It's better for them to resent you for not being able to do it rather than doing it and then somebody becomes angry at the other person. Because sometimes if you do something for them, they can still end up biting you in the butt and becoming your enemy. Or they could avoid you altogether because they feel like they owe you something, but they're not able to pay it back. So they just leave you alone. And that still goes along with what I'm saying next. Avoid situations where one becomes indebted to the other, such as loans, personal sacrifices, boarding, like living with one another too long. Like say for instance, someone gets kicked out, their wife kicks them out, and they're like, well, can I come stay with you? You know, put a time frame on it if you have to do that. Unpaid utility bills, co-signing things when someone's credit gets messed up, lack of reciprocity. Say for instance, somebody's like, well, I always babysit your child, but you never babysit my child, or you never do this for me. You know, you want to be very, very careful with those type of things. Car usage, somebody causing somebody's car to break down and they don't want to be responsible for it because they weren't on their insurance. Or you feel like, dang, I'm always the one that has to pay for the check when we go out to eat. If you're going to feel like that, don't even go, because it's going to make you feel resentful towards them. Another thing too, never put yourself in harm's way for a loved one, especially extended family, unless it's your child, of course. And now here's a biggie. Stay out of their relationship problems, no matter how they beg for you to become involved. Because as soon as you try to break up their relationship, or you tell them this guy's no good for you, or this woman's no good for you, or the person hits them upside the head, and you like, don't you hit my sister, don't you hit my brother. Because your sister or your brother could turn around and be like, you stay out of my relationship, or they turn it back on you and make you the bad person for trying to intervene on their behalf. Just stay out of it if you're able to. It's something to where it's a life-threatening situation, that's a different story, but do your best to stay out of the mess. Number 6. Distance breeds respect. Let them miss you sometimes and vice versa. Shoot. Sometimes you live with people and sometimes you need to get some space. Sometimes you need to go out and do your own thing for a little bit. Maybe take some sort of hobby, some sort of course, anything that doesn't betray them behind their back. But every now and then, you know, when you have siblings, because you could be a teenager and you and your siblings, maybe y'all share a room, you're getting on each other's nerves. Go out sometimes, miss each other. You know, if you're in a relationship, take a little weekend road trip with your family or your friends. Do something to where you just get out and you give each other space. Distance breeds respect. Have your own life. Have things you like to do. Next, with some loved ones, you just have to release them and let life teach them. Sometimes you're too close to the battlefield to show them where they are going wrong, or you're not going to hear it if you're making a mistake and they're trying to tell you the right thing, but you're not listening to them because they're too close to you. You're like, you don't know what you're talking about because you know too much of their business and they know too much of your business. Or they could tell you, you can't tell me nothing, look at you, you know, vice versa. So you're too close to one another, you know too much about one another. You just have to let life teach people and don't try to, you know, be your siblings or your best friend's guru on a lot of things, unless a lot of time has passed and respect has developed to where they're like, oh, okay, I see what you mean. Okay, you can suggest things to them, and then if it's meant for it to marinate and absorb in their heart and in their mind, they'll think back. They may not give you credit for it, but they'll think back and go, yeah, you know, my sister said that, or my brother told me that. But don't force feed them any advice. Let life teach them. You know, when you live with somebody or you've grown up with somebody, you know each other's bad habits, secrets, and things like that. It's like this. So I have an exercise for you really quick. Please carefully put your hand to your face with your eyes wide open. Now, you can't see your hand clearly because it's too close to your eyes. But once you start to slowly pull your hand back, now you can see your hand more clearly what it is. This is what it's like with your personal relationships, whether it's romantic, platonic, friends, siblings, family, When y'all too close to each other's face like this, you can't see them clearly. They can't see you clearly. They can't hear you clearly. You can't hear them clearly because you're all in each other's grill like this. But with distance, with time, with accomplishment, with you being on your ship and your destiny, they'll look out, they'll see you on your ship and they'll be on their ship, and it's like, oh, now I see what you're trying to say. Now I have more respect for what you are all about, because there's a certain distance there. So once again, familiarity breeds contempt, and this is when people don't see each other. This is when husbands and wives take each other for granted. This is when people don't feel appreciated in relationships because there's not enough space. Get some space between you all so that they can see you clearly as the day that they met you, when all they saw was your rising sign. Remember, there will be some family and friends where it's best to only deal with them through social media and not in personal life, and vice versa. It's some people to where, you know, you only deal with them in personal life and not social media, because maybe they're the messy type. Maybe they're gonna gossip about every picture, every post you make. They're gonna take it the wrong way and think you're talking about them. So some of your loved ones, it's good to only deal with them through social media, or vice versa, only deal with them in real life, because they can start a bunch of mess by watching what you do on social media and how you do it, and taking your memes and everything else the wrong way. Especially when you're talking about your spiritual community with mentors and different things like that, or you posting pictures at the club and you have a spiritual mentor. You know, some of them, they may be judgmental, or they may look at you in a different light, and sometimes it's just best not to be Facebook friends with them, or, you know, Instagram friends, depending on, you know, what you're doing, unless you have different categories of social media. Maybe a private one, you know, where your friends and buddies see you acting silly, and then a public one where you have it more together. Next, share details of your life on a need-to-know basis. You do not owe everyone information about your life just because you love them and you care about them, and because they love you and care about you. Certain things are best kept to yourself, or to those that you know that you can trust with the information. Especially if you have a goal or good news that's still in the gestation phases, to where it hasn't fully come to light yet. Perhaps you want to start a business, or perhaps you found out you're going to become a parent. You don't want to talk about that too soon, when it's in the gestation phases, when the plan or the baby or the idea is a fetus. You want to wait till you're close to birth, or you want to wait till after it has been birthed and it's successful to discuss it. Next, find your tribe and give them access to you in doses. Remember, familiarity breeds contempt. Just because somebody's in your tribe this year and they're a new person in your life, maybe 3 years from now you'll outgrow one another. Maybe you will grow stronger together. But give yourself in doses. Give information in doses. Confide in people in doses. Share different parts and aspects of yourself in doses. Distance breeds respect. Not emotional distance to where you're ice cold and you're aloof, but avoiding situations that can cause resentment and messiness. Number 7, when you focus on those that do treat you fairly, reciprocate your efforts, and mutually empower you, there's less time to focus on those who will not give that to you. If you are so caught up in, oh my God, my mama didn't love me, my daddy never came to my birthday parties, my daddy didn't come to my football games, this man, he didn't love me, I gave me everything, this woman, I bought her all these things and she still didn't love me. When you continue to focus on the people that didn't, I call them the didn'ts, then you have less energy to give and reciprocate to those that do or that did. So perhaps you didn't have your mom in your life. Maybe you had a grandmother or an auntie that was good to you. So what your loved ones didn't give you, the Creator replaced it with people that did fill those spaces. But you're so focused on who you didn't get it from that you're not being thankful for who you did get it from. So be careful of neglecting those that are there for you, that have had your back, that have stood beside you, because you're so hung up on who you didn't get it from the past, or who you're just not going to ever get it from. Focus on who does fill your cup. So here are a few things to remember as I close out this video. Some people won't be intimate friends with you, or they won't be good for confiding in, but they're great social connections. So it's no need to totally cut them off. Just put them in a proper category and deal with them from where they are. Next, if it won't matter a week from now, don't sweat it. If it's something that's petty or minor, or you ate my last chip on my plate, then that's petty stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff. If you are arguing and getting into conflicts with people, and someone asks you a month from now, what did y'all argue about? And you're like, I I can't remember, then you know it's too petty to even be bothered with. Let it go, because then you won't have the energy to tackle the big things if you waste all your precious energy on the small things. But keep in mind, those little small annoyances can be clues to bigger annoyances that are not being addressed. So address the bigger annoyances in order to plug those leaks and those little other annoyances that are like foxes that spoil the vine in your relationships. Next, check them from the throne. You do not have to go down to someone's level if they are coming at you, in a certain disrespectful way. It doesn't mean turn the cheek. It doesn't mean don't address what is being said or what is being done. But sometimes you have to do it with diplomacy. Sometimes you just have to overlook certain things and remember, if this is not going to be important to me 3 weeks from now, I'm not even coming off the throne for this. Let it go. And finally, don't waste your time waiting for someone to apologize to you, see things your way, love you, value you, regret what they did, respect you, appreciate you, celebrate you, clap for you, compliment your shoes or whatever it is, or even giving credit where credit is due. Once again, focus on those that do love you, do respect you, do validate you, do celebrate you, and do so to them in return. Be sure to share your experiences. And if you are looking for a tribe, look no further. Look in the comments box. Make a new friend. Converse with one another. Like, share, and subscribe. And I will talk to you next time. Peace and bliss, beloveds.